Hey group, so this lesson is all about the circulatory system, right? So like inside of us we have all these rivers of blood and we have a heart and we have all this really cool stuff happening. So this lesson is basically like, why do we have it, right? Why do we have all this blood going through us? What's the point of a heart? Like all the details about it. So right, this lesson is going to be an overview of why we need a circulatory system, why our body couldn't function without it, and the major players in the game. So here we go. All right, so the very first thing to talk about is what it does. So what it is basically, one of the main functions, it's like a delivery system, okay? Like the same way that rivers around different countries help boats transport things from one place to the other, and imports and exports and all that jazz. It's kind of the same thing, right? Like we are, it's a delivery system of rivers that allow different substances to go to different parts of the body. So when things need oxygen from the lungs, they get there through the blood. Okay, or you get rid of stuff, same idea. So it's kind of your delivery system, like your mailman. All right, but not only delivering the good stuff the body needs, like your oxygen and your nutrients and all that, but it also gets rid of the bad stuff, your carbon dioxide and other waste that your body doesn't need. So same idea, still picking things up, moving things around, good stuff, bad stuff. And another aspect of this, besides just moving things around, your white blood cells in particular fight diseases. So when you get your cuts and infections and things like that, it helps fight diseases. And if you think of it, whenever you get like a mosquito bite or a cut or anything that turns red, right? You scratch yourself, it turns red. Mosquito bite turns red. All the things that turn red, and the reason that these things turn red is because as soon as you have something that like bad happens in your body that's not supposed to be there, all this blood rushes to that area to basically help it and fix it. So that's why your mosquito bites turn red, because all the blood's going there to attack that area and basically help fix it and cure it. So anytime you have things like that turning red, that's why. It's because your blood is rushing there to ultimately help and try to fix it in diseases and infections and things like that. Okay? All right, and now the major players of the game. Like I said, heart, hands down the most important part of this, okay? So what to know about the heart? Most people already know this, but we can't not talk about this, okay? This is the organ that pumps blood throughout the body. We may have talked about this in skeletal system. Blood isn't created by the heart. Blood is created inside of your bone marrow, or at least the red blood cells inside your bone marrow, inside your bones. The heart is just the organ that helps pump it and transport it all around your body. How big it is? Usually for most people it's about the size of your fists, just to get an idea of kind of how big the heart is. And this one I always love is where is it, right? Because whenever like we salute the flag and we put our hand over our heart, usually we put it kind of over here. But that's actually not where the heart is. Your heart is really more in the center, right behind your sternum and your ribs. And your ribs and your sternum really protect your heart, but it's right here in the center. The reason that we put our hand over here on the right side is because this is where your aorta is, which is like the main blood vessel that the blood leaves the heart. So you kind of feel that pump, 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 pump going on kind of over there. So that's why we put it over there, but really it's more in the center of your chest. All right, now, along with the heart, there are some blood vessels, right? So because the blood doesn't just stay in the heart, it goes throughout the body. So these are like, again, the transportation avenues. All right, the first one is arteries. Arteries start with the letter A. I always remembered that arteries help blood go away from the heart. Okay, that's their main job. They take the blood that is full of the oxygen and the stuff that the body needs, and it takes it to the rest of the body. Okay, that is their main job. Take things away from the heart to the rest of the body. They carry, like I just said, they carry the blood that is high in oxygen, okay, low in carbon dioxide, which is the thing you don't want. And I said usually because there is an exception, which we'll talk about in the next lesson. There is a certain artery that carries blood that's not high in oxygen, but only one major one. For the most part, they're always represented in red. And the reason they're represented in red is because they're bright red and therefore high in oxygen, and that's why they're like that. Okay, that's what the arteries do. And then the veins are basically your exact opposite. These are the ones you can see. Usually on your body, you can see your veins. They're closer to the surface, okay? They're a little bit thinner, so you can actually see the color of them. And they're the ones that kind of look like bluish, purplish. And we're definitely going to talk about how they're not truly blue. Actually, let's talk about it right now. Why not, right? So your veins are not really blue, okay? As far as the blood inside them. The biggest misconception I always hear is that your blood is blue inside, and then when it hits oxygen, it turns red. That's completely false, and I don't want you ever to think that, okay? The reason that your veins are blue is the same reason the sky is blue, Okay, basically light hits it, bounces around a little bit, and this blue color comes off. That is the simplified version of it. But your blood inside is never actually blue. Your blood is just a darker red because it's a little bit less oxygen. So I want to make sure you take that with you. But what they do, okay, it does carry blood back to your heart. So arteries take it away to the body. All the things, delivers what it needs to deliver to your body, your muscles, your bones, everything like that. And in the veins, they bring it back to the heart. Okay, they're like your highways. Arteries away from the heart, veins back to your heart. And because they're going back to your heart, now they are usually much lower in oxygen. Okay, they've already delivered the oxygen and they've picked up the carbon dioxide from the different cells. Now, there's also these capillaries. So I told you, arteries is a highway going this way, veins is a highway going this way. And you picture yourself ever on a highway, you can't just jump from one side to the other. Okay, there has to be some smaller roads that you take, little exits, if you will. Okay, so these are the exits. These are your capillaries. And what they are is they're tiny little blood vessels that connect the arteries to your veins. They're like the small roads. Again, I always think of it like roads. Arteries, highway, veins, highway, and the capillaries are like you get off the highway, and you take a little side road, and these tiny little itty bitty roads, the smallest roads you could think of. Okay. Now, this is just a funny thing that I thought was cool. Anyway, and this I thought an awesome picture of how many little capillaries are inside of us. This is kind of like eye-opening. And just like there's so many little veins and arteries that we don't even realize are going through all our muscles and our organs and everything. Now, why capillaries are so important is because they're so thin and they're so tiny that they're so thin that basically this is where you can transfer the materials. So what I mean by that is like the blood cells are in the arteries, it can't give the oxygen right to the muscles right there. Because I said they're breezing through on this highway. There's no time to stop. You can't just like pull over the side and deliver oxygen. You're in a highway. The capillaries are where blood slows down a little bit, goes through really thin, and it's because it's such a thin layer, it can get rid of the oxygen and give it to all the muscles and everything it needs, and it can pick up the carbon dioxide and the waste. So this is where all the substances are exchanged in these little capillaries, okay? So I said arteries carry the oxygen, veins carry the carbon dioxide, capillaries is where the exchange happens. All right, that's the overview. At this point, you should be able to answer these questions. So you can just stop me right now and give it a shot and try to answer them. But what I'm going to do with you, just to ultimately help you out and test your knowledge, is I'm going to ask a question, pause for a second if you want to pause the video and just kind of test yourself or test a friend and make sure you know it, right? So the three main reasons that we need the circulatory system. What are they? Think about it. All right, so you need it to deliver materials, you need it to pick up waste, and you need it to also fight diseases or infections. All right, second question, what does the heart do? Well, the heart essentially pumps the blood around the body. What is the size of the heart? About your size of your fist. Where's the location of the heart? Right here, in the center. Remember, not over here, in the center. How is the direction of blood flow different in arteries than veins? Right? Remember, arteries away from the heart, veins are going towards the heart. How is the blood in the arteries different than the blood in the vein if you were to examine it? The blood in the artery is rich in the oxygen and the nutrients, and the blood in the veins is lower in oxygen, lower in nutrients, higher in waste products, carbon dioxide in particular. Okay? And what am I forgetting? What is a capillary? Okay? Those tiny itty bitty blood vessels that connect arteries to veins, and what happens in the capillaries, that is where the body exchanges the substances with the blood. Oxygen, carbon dioxide, that's where all the exchanges happen. Okay, if you can answer them, then you're at a very good spot for part one of the circulatory system. Thanks for watching.